to lesson 1.1. Today we're going to be doing a few things. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the supplies that you're going to need. As of today is the very first math lesson, so you will need your student volume math journal. So this is what you will need. You will also need a whiteboard if you have one, or a pencil and paper, something so you can do some math work here and there. So those are things that you need to bring every single day to my math lesson, okay? Now, talking about our math lesson every single day, we're going to start with a math warm-up. So I'm going to give you a couple problems, and I want you to think about that problem, think really quickly, and let's try to get it done. We're going to spend about 2 minutes. So it's just a mental math, like a just mental workout. Quicker you can do it, better for you. So everyone can do 5 plus 4, right? Your answer should be 9. Now, what if I say 10 minus 6? Your answer should be 4. And finally, 2 times 4. You should know that quick. It should be 8. Sometimes mental math will be like that. I'm going to give you different things that you need to do. I'm going to ask you a specific question, and you need to find an answer or do some mental things really quickly just to find an answer for it. Okay? The next section, are you ready? What is the sum, see if you know that word, of 60 and 32? The word sum means you're going to add. It means it's the answer to an addition problem. That means that 60 plus 32 is 92. So sum means you're going to add. So it's the answer to addition. So next time I am talking to you or we are working together and I say, what is the sum of blah, 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 you know that you're going to add. Super easy to remember. All right. Here's the next math word. What is the product of 107? Product. Think in your head, what do you think product means? If you said product means multiplication, you are correct. So product, that means you're going to multiply. So a product is the answer to multiplication. This is important to know these words because you might see them in a word problem. You might see them on an assessment. You might see them throughout this year. I might say, what is your product? Or I might say, explain how you found your answer. And you then can tell me, well, the product of blah, 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 and you can use these math words. This is important, okay? It's important to know what they mean, and it's important to know how to use them. We will be working on these all year, okay? What if I said double 40? Double 40. So the word double, most of you know, means 2. So if I say double, that means times 2. Think about a double cheeseburger. If I go get a double cheeseburger from McDonald's, it's going to have 2 cheeseburger patties, right? Right. That's what double means. Okay? The sum, let's see how well you did. The sum of 7 and 3 minus 5. So this is where it's getting tricky. So think in your head. The sum, add, of 7 and 3. So 7 plus 3 minus 5. So whatever that answer is, minus 5. So I know that 7 plus 3 equals 10. And then I take this answer minus 5, my answer equals 5. Okay. The way you would write this problem, if you wanted to use parentheses, is you would go 7 plus 3, because you do parentheses first, and then you would subtract 5. We're going to work on that a lot this year. Okay. Ooh, another big fancy word. Quotient. Q-U-O-T-I-E-N-T. Quotient means the answer to a division problem. So the answer to a division problem. So this is where you're going to divide a problem, and then whatever your answer, your final answer is, you can say the quotient is and give it to me. So quotient means answer to a division problem. All right, and finally, the word triple. Triple. Triple means 3. So if I say triple the number 7, that means you're going to multiply that number by 3. So triple means to multiply by 3. Okay? So triple the number 10. What's your answer? If you said 30, you're correct. Triple the number 5. If you said 15, you are a rock star. So these are going to be important. All of these words are going to be things that you need to work on. I'm actually going to set up something so you have almost flashcards to use. So if you don't know what the word sum means, you can go back and look at it. So keep that in mind. I'll have it up shortly. Okay? The next thing we're going to do with our message today is we're going to look a little bit at our math journal and what it has in it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it. I'm going to show you a few things, and then we're going to go from there. So your math journal is a paperback book. It's pretty cool because you can write on it and you can do different things in it. So right now we're looking at lesson 1.1. That's where we are. So there is a welcome letter. I'm not going to read it to you. I'm going to let you read it by yourself. But basically, these are all the things that you're going to learn how to do this year. So in 5th grade, all of these things here are a lot. That's a lot of what you're going to end up doing with me. Okay, we're going to start by looking at lesson 1. So we are going to start by doing a little bit of a scavenger hunt, a little bit of just conversions. The word conversion means to convert something or change something from one to another. So if I am looking at a ruler and I say my ruler is 1 foot long, I could also say, I could convert it to inches and say that my ruler is 12 inches long. Did the size of my ruler change? It didn't. The size of my ruler stays the same. It doesn't grow. But I can look at it as either inches or feet, right? Same thing with you as a child when you were growing up. Lincoln, prime example right now. Lincoln is 1. He is 1 year old. Or technically, he's a year and a half. Also, technically, he is 18 months because 12 months is 1 year. A half a year is 6 months. So 12 plus 6 is 18. So technically, he's also 18 months. When you convert something, it doesn't mean that you change the size of it. It's just a different way to name it. Okay? Thinking about me, you guys know me as Miss Gilman, right? That is one way to name me. Another name that I go by is Miss G. People call me Miss G. Another name that I go by is Mommy. Lincoln calls me Mommy all the time. Mommy, all the time. Just because he calls me Mommy doesn't mean I changed people. Just because you call me Miss Gilman doesn't mean that I'm not his mommy. Does that make sense? So when I talk about conversions, that's what I mean. In order to do conversions on here, we're going to talk about how meters and centimeters connect. Millimeters, centimeters. We're going to work on some problems. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about our reference book. I'm not going to go that much into it today because you guys don't have this book at home. However, this is a book that we can use, and I will sometimes link pages on there for you because there are things that you can do with it. Okay, so showing you a little bit about the reference book. There is something called a table of contents. So your table of contents is always at the very beginning of your book, right? In every reading book, if you do a nonfiction, your table of contents is in the beginning. That's because I now can go here and find algebra. I can go to page 36. If I want to look at inequalities right here, I can go to page 41. So your table of contents tells me in number order, in book order, where I would go to find something. Okay, how many of you know what the other part of the book is? If I want to find something, where else I might go? If you know that answer, I want you to pause now and think about it. Just pause. Where would I go in the book to find out where a topic was? So you might have thought about the index. So the index is in the very back of the book. The index is organized by alphabet. So at the very front of the book, the table of contents goes in order. So page 1 to page 376. The index goes from A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's all alphabetical order. So if I want to learn about facts, I would go to 292. If I want to learn about multiplication, I would go to the M's. And I would go to multiplication. Let's see, it's going to be on this page, multiplication. And then I would go to area models or array models, or I would find what I want to do with multiplication from there. So there's a lot of pages for multiplication, right? So that's how the index is used, and they have indices in all kinds of books. The other thing that this book has, so when you come back to school, this is an option. There is something called a glossary, and this is a question in one of the math boxes in a couple of days. The glossary is where you find those words. It tells you what the words mean. So again, we just talked about sum and product and quotient and double and triple and all of those words. The glossary is where you would go to find out what it means. So if you see something says, what is a variable? You can go here and see what a variable means. Or if it says round to the nearest tenth, you can go here and find out what rounding means. So you can use the glossary to find out specific word meanings. Okay? In this book, well, when you come back to school in person, or if we are continuing online, I will link these to you. You will be playing games. And so the other thing that this book has is it actually has things with the games that you can use. So it tells you if you're going to do spoon scramble, this is the page you would look at. And so it walks you through each of the games, which is really cool. So this book right here is really interesting because it does walk you through all the stuff that you need to walk through. Okay. It gives you information about measurement and data, of course. It talks about fractions. So if you aren't good with fractions, this book will help you with and give you some examples with fractions. So I wanted you to know a little bit about this book because if you come back to school or if we are doing things with us, I might share a page or two from here. Okay, so this is called your Student Reference Book, SRB. We call it SRB. And so that's what you would use. So right now, what I want you to do in your math workbook, I'm going to be super easy today. I'm going to be easy because I want you to really know, like, a lot of this stuff right now you can't do because you don't have the book with you. Okay, so what we're going to do is instead of finding the page that it's on, we're going to actually do the problems. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through and we're going to do the problems. Okay, so number 1, it says changing from 5 meters to centimeters. So meters to centimeters. This is something that you're going to learn throughout the year. So if I go ahead and I use my student reference books, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to search meters. I'm going to search meters. When I search meters, 213 is where we need to go. So I'm going to turn to page 213. And it's going to show you how the metric system works. And it tells you, it's going to show you that 1 meter, and I'm changing meters to centimeters. So 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So if 1 meter equals 100 centimeters, 5 meters equals 500 centimeters. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint. The very front of your student reference book has some information for you. You have how to measure from miles to feet, yards to feet, foot to inches. You can measure all of the units of capacity, weight. It tells you how to do volume. It tells you how to do area. It gives you a multiplication chart. So this page gives you a lot of information too. So keep that in mind. That might help you with some of these other things. Okay. Now we're going to go millimeters to centimeters. Okay. So going back to my millimeters. So 1 meter equals 1,000 millimeters. Okay, 1 meter equals 1,000 millimeters. So that means that you can use that to help you convert. So we're going to work a little bit on this for the next couple of days. And actually, this is something that we work on in Unit 5 or 6. So we'll work on this throughout the year. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this a little bit later on. So number 2, I want you to put an X. You don't have to do it. Number 3, is going to be kind of super easy if you know the rules. So there is something called PEMDAS, is how people say it, or they say, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Sometimes you might hear them say, please pardon my dear Aunt Sally. And what that means is parentheses, exponents. So if I have like a 4 with a little 2 at the top, that means 4 squared. So please excuse my dear. So that means you're going to do multiplication and division from left to right. Aunt Sally, again, addition and subtraction from left to right. Okay, so this is called the order of operations. Again, this is something we're going to learn later on, and that is okay if you don't know this right now. Okay, if you don't understand it or if you're confused, that is okay. We will focus on this later. Basically, you just go in order. So looking at this problem, are there parentheses? There are. That means I'm going to do the parentheses first. And I like to just write above it. That way I know that I did that problem. So I know that 15 minus 4 is 11. Okay? Then you're going to see this little symbol right here. That symbol right there means multiply. The reason why we don't use an X all the time is because now that you're in 5th grade, sometimes you're going to see an X in there as a variable, and we're going to learn about that this year. So in 5th grade, sometimes you're going to see this little asterisk, and that means multiply. So when you see this, that means multiply. So 11 times 3. Super easy. What is 11 times 3? You should have written 33. Let's see if you can do this one on your own. What I want you to do is I want you to pause the video right now, and I want you to try this problem on your own. Go ahead and pause. All right. You should have this problem done. If I did parentheses first, 47 minus 18. I like to show my work, so I'm going to do it off to the side. 47 minus 18. 7 minus 8, you can't do it. You got to borrow. So if you didn't borrow, pay attention. 17 minus 8, that should be 9. 3 minus 1 is 2. So if the parentheses, if you did not get the number 29 for what you had in parentheses, then you probably subtracted wrong. And so you need to watch out for that subtraction. Make sure you borrow. 25 plus 29 is going to be 54. That's what you should have gotten. If you got 54, I want you to go ahead and put a check mark. At the end of this lesson, I'm going to ask you how many check marks you have. Hopefully you have a lot. All right, number 4. Write the place value of the 5 in each of the following numbers. So if I look at this 5 right here, what place value is that in? If I look at this one and this one. All right, place value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look in my reference book and I'm going to have it up for you. Place value, let's see. I'm going to look over here. Place for digits, place value. Got it. Maybe 104, maybe. And again, remember when we're looking at the place, oh, here we go. Place value chart 66. So the place value chart is on page 66. All right, here you go. So looking at this place value chart, I have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. So I'll show you over here as well. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. Okay, so if I'm looking at my place value and I take this number and I have 9652 on my problem, I'm looking at this one right here, 9652. I'm going to have the ones column, the tens column. Oh, there's my 5. So this 5 is in the tens column. Now I'm going to look at this 5. All right, 1, tens, hundreds. What's that next place value? Write it on this line. Pause and go ahead and write it. I'll let you see this book if you need it. All right, you should have written thousands. And finally, what is the place value of this? Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Go ahead and write it. What's next? 10,000s. Now, something very important. On this problem, it says write the value. And I made a mistake. I did not see that that's what it said. So if you saw that that's what it said and you fixed it, great. If not, it's okay. I'm going to give you a chance for an extra bonus point. So right now you should have hopefully 2 check marks on these. So now I want you to write the value. So if this is in the tens place, that means how much is that worth? If I have 5 $10 bills, how much money do I have? Pause the video and fill in the rest of these 3 answers. Okay, are you ready? Let's see how you did. 5 tens, that means 5 $10 bills. I'm going to have $50. If I have 5 groups of 1,000, that means this is worth 5,000. And finally, if I have 5 groups of 10,000, I wish, I would have 50,000. Maybe that's how many subscribers I'll have by the end of this year. Let's make it happen. I'm just kidding. All right. Equivalent fractions, we're going to work on that a lot this year. Oh, I'm sorry. On these, if you got them right, give yourself a check mark. If you didn't, it's okay. It's okay. We're going to work a lot on equivalent fractions this year. This is actually in Unit 1 a little bit later on and maybe in Unit 2. So we're going to work a lot on this. So if you don't know how to do equivalent fractions, that is okay. I want you to go ahead and mark out number 5. And finally, number 6, 460 divided by 5. This is something that you were supposed to learn at the end of last year. Oh.
Attention 6th graders, if you are taking the shuttle bus to the junior high for cross country today, you'll be riding bus 125. It will be parked first in line. Once again, if you are a 6th grader going to the junior high for cross country, your shuttle bus will be number 125 and be parked first in line.
Sorry about that. They want to make announcements. We have to listen. All right, so this is division. That means that you did a little bit of this last year, but you probably missed quite a bit of it too. So we're going to work on long division a lot. So if this is hard, that's okay. I'm going to give you a quick sample of how to do this, okay? If I have 460 divided by 5, this is how you would write it. And then literally you go one number at a time. 5 goes into 4. Can 5 go into 4? It doesn't work. So you're going to put an X or a 0. And then you're going to move to the next number and look at the next number. How many times does 5 go into 46? Okay. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. I can't do another one. So it goes in there 9 times. 9 times 5 is 45. And then you subtract, and then you bring down that 0. How many times does 5 go into 10? Well, this is super easy. I know 5 times 2 equals 10. Multiply 5 times 2 equals 10, and then subtract. My answer is 0. So my quotient, big fancy word, my answer for my division problem is 92. That's how you do this problem. Okay? Now, what's going to happen? You're going to go ahead and you're going to put a X through this page. Okay? I'm going to be super easy, nice to you today. So far, You had a chance for 6 check marks. So on the top of your math boxes, page 4 right now, I want you to write check mark equals and write how many you got. How many check marks did you get? I am not going to take this one for a grade today. So if you only got 1 check mark, that is okay. This is participation. It's not going to be quiz or anything like that. So just write what you got, okay? Go ahead and mark out number 1. Because you don't have a reference book. You can't do it. Now your job, and I'm going to attach this today. This will be under your assignment as a form. It's going to be listed as a quiz, but it is not a quiz, okay? I do it that way because then it can give you a correct answer. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to use that Google form, and you're going to answer these questions as best as you can, and just try, and you're going to show me what you know about what we did today, okay? Congratulations. You just finished lesson 1.1, your official first math lesson of the year. Round of applause. The crowd goes wild. I'm just kidding.